Hi everyone, good evening everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Night Live. If this is your first time joining us, Sunday Night Live is Guhuza's weekly conversation about work, hiring, technology, and changing job market. We look beyond the headlines and bring job seekers, employers, and recruiters together for honest, practical discussions about making hiring more human. Tonight, we're talking about youth unemployment again, and the numbers demand attention. In June 2026, Canada's youth unemployment rate was 12.7%, more than twice the rate for core-aged workers. It reached 15.3% among students returning to school, and a city report placed Toronto youth unemployment at 15.2% in October 2025. So young people have the highest unemployment rate of any major age group. They are ready to contribute, but too many cannot get through the first door. And this is why Guhuza matters. It matches people with relevant opportunities and helps them reach live conversations with employers. Technology should bring people together, not become another barrier. And to hear what that experience is really like, I am joined today by Zach, a Toronto job seeker who is currently building experience as a content writer intern with Guhuza. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. And could you take about 30 seconds to introduce yourself? Tell us about your background, the work you hope to pursue, and what you're doing at Guhuza right now.
Absolutely. Hey, Mark, thanks for having me on. For anyone that didn't catch it, my name's Zach Tomblin. I currently have a background in creative and professional writing, and I'm in my third year of a bachelor's degree program with Humber Polytechnic. In the future, I hope to pursue a career in wildlife research or preservation, hopefully with the federal government, who doesn't love a pension. And I'd say that my ideal career has me out of the doors for 6 months of the year, while still allowing me time to get some writing in. Currently, I'm working with Guhuza as a team lead with their marketing branch, creating content in hopes of sharing some of the awesome things Guhuza is up to.
Hey, welcome, Zach. I'm glad to have you on. So, the numbers do not show the hours spent searching, rewriting resumes, or waiting for replies. Toronto's reporting points to fewer entry-level jobs, more contract work, changing skill requirements, certification costs, transportation barriers, and a lack of mentorship. We're not seeing that much anymore. Applicants have to keep submitting information, but rarely speak with a person. So, my first question to you today would be, what has looking for work in Toronto been like for you? And which barriers have been the most frustrating? That's a good one.
Well, growing up in a small town outside of the GTA, the job search I knew was an altogether different beast than the one we're looking at. The odds were good that when I applied, I knew the people that I was applying to work for. I'd show up in person, shake their hands, greet them, and I'd list out my qualifications and we'd go from there. Something I always enjoyed was finding common ground with my employers, leaving them with an impression of me that was more than just words on a piece of paper. Toronto is something else, man. A lot more competition, and those connections are scarce, to say the least. You're lucky if you can do an in-person interview. People are just too busy, and that frustrates me. For most jobs I'd apply for, I'd hear nothing back, either another unsuccessful application update without so much as an email or notification from the employer, or it's just nothing. Zilch. Zip. No face-to-face, just constantly refreshing a screen and the cold, cold void.
You make a very good point though, Zach, about, coming from a small town, you had that connection, essentially references, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's especially important because, you look at what Guhuza is working to address. And that problem is helping qualified people become more visible. Something that you're exactly having a problem with right now and shortening that path from a match to a real conversation. Because at the end of the day, all you really need to do is speak to someone.
Yeah,
And it works out in a small town, it works out everywhere else. You just need to speak to someone. But in Toronto,
sure.
major city, you move there, it's hard to get those connections. I
Yeah, man.
understand. And then an entry-level job is not truly entry-level if the successful candidate must already have done it, right? That doesn't sound really entry-level.
No.
When employers demand experience without creating a way to earn it, young workers are trapped in a cycle they did not create. So my second question to you, Zach, would be, have you encountered entry-level jobs that still required significant experience, and how has this affected which positions you apply for?
This is something that I can, unfortunately, speak to personally. I've scanned job boards for months looking for something, just something to get my foot in the door, you know? But even positions that seem like they'd be a perfect fit require a level of experience that seems frankly unreasonable for the type of employment and the compensation they're offering. When I see 4+ years of experience on a supposed entry level position, I'm deterred immediately. How do companies expect us to come across this experience while we're in school and trying to pay rent on top of that? If you can't work if you don't have experience, and you can't get experience because you can't work without it. It's quite the barrier, you know?
It's such an annoying cycle, don't you find? It's like this is something that employers employers can break because all they really have to do is assessing your potential, providing training, and offering the first real opportunity. And that's what companies used to do in the past. They used to
Yeah.
give people a chance. They used to train them. And now it just kind of seems like they don't want to bother doing that at all, right? It's kind of frustrating. I could see, and I'm sorry I had to go through that, Zach.
That's just the market right now.
Now, I do have how you could build your experience here because you could do paid internships, you could do co-ops, you could do apprenticeships, volunteer experience, and short assignments can help cross the experience gap. And but a good opportunity should teach real skills, produce work samples, and lead to feedback or a reference. So Zach, on your end, you're doing content writing right now as an intern at Guhuza. You are building proof through research, work samples, deadlines, feedback, and collaboration. I guess my real question here would be, what are you learning through your internship, and how is this helping you build the experience and the portfolio you need for your next role?
Yeah, great question. First off, I'd say working with Guhuza is great for a couple of reasons. For one, I really enjoy the environment. It's relaxed, but it's still professional. It's easy to get in contact with anyone that you need to, like yourself, Mark B. If you need to, everyone is a text or an email away. And whoever it is will do their darndest to get back to you as soon as they possibly can, help answer questions or offer advice on a project you're working for. At the end of the day, it's a co-op, and I feel they take that responsibility very seriously. They understand that they're here to help people grow and to learn, and that's what comes first for them. Secondly, and speaking of learning, AI literacy. It's important to understand the tools that are becoming dominant in the field, and Guhuza is a great opportunity to test the waters and get familiar with AI and what it can do. That being said, though, even with Guhuza being AI forward, it's great to know that the people behind it are still very much a people company, founded on the principle of making human connections and staunch in the belief that AI is a tool, not a substitute for a worker. Lastly, with Guhuza, I'm managing projects I never thought I'd be handling, creating posts, and even helping my fellow co-ops, all while strengthening my portfolio, my leadership skills, even my interpersonal skills. It sounds a little cheesy, but in an environment like Guhuza, everything you do looks good on a resume.
And that's what we try to do. That's what we try to do, Zach.
Yeah,
The experience that you're getting is the practice that you need, right? It
for
is the
sure.
practical experience that will take you to that next opportunity. And through your internship, Guhuza is trying to give people like yourself, young people, a chance to develop your skills and show what you can actually do. And more employers need to create those first chances. Not just us. We need other employers to do it as well
Sure.
because it's so useful. And we're not the only one with a co-op program, but it
Um,
seems like we're the only one that's always bringing on people for a co-op program. And then let's talk about the personal and financial impact. Unemployment is not only about missing a paycheck, right? A long job search can affect confidence, independence, relationships, and plans for the future. Repeated rejection or no response at all can take a serious emotional toll on people. So, how has the job search affected you personally, both financially and emotionally? And what helps you stay motivated?
For sure. So first of all, I want to say that a successful job search these days can take upwards of 6 months. That's a long time, Mark. And I'll be honest, in that time, it's easy to fall in some despair. Month after month, you're applying, drafting cover letters, putting in your all so that a few pieces of paper can hopefully reflect you as a person and as a candidate. It's a strain on your mental health for sure. But in addition to that, being unemployed for months on end is not sustainable. And with bills piling up, your mental health is only going to get worse. I remember searching job boards endlessly, posting upwards of and drafting 5 cover letters a day, only to tell myself I still wasn't doing enough and it was my fault. I wasn't good enough. And that's a tough spot to be in. But at the end of the day, you need to know that there are people out there. There are people that want to make real connections, people that want to interview you face to face. For me, it was all about meeting the right people, and I'm grateful for the support I had during those challenging times.
Hey, and thank you so much for being very honest with me, Zach, because at the end of the day, behind every application is a real person trying to build a future, like yourself.
Absolutely.
And I guess what we could talk about now is what employers could do differently, because young job seekers can prepare, develop skills, build portfolios, show initiative, but we cannot turn a structural problem into a lecture about trying harder. Employers must offer realistic entry-level positions, pay people fairly, provide training, and communicate early and clearly when evaluating potential. That's what they used to do. So Guhuza matters here too. It helps employers find relevant candidates and meet the people behind the resume sooner. A live conversation can reveal potential that a document may never capture. Even having this conversation here with you, Zach, I mean, this provides you a way to get yourself out there and really speak to who you are in a more open sense that people won't see from just looking at your resume. Are you right?
For sure.
And then if you could speak directly to Canadian employers, what would you ask them to change about how they recruit and hire young people?
This is a bit of a hard one because on the one hand, I'd love to say hire hire more people, quit it with the empty job platforms, start shifting to real people and real-time interviews. But I know that in a way that isn't realistic. Employers can be just as swamped as applicants sometimes, especially small businesses. I recently had an opportunity to interview with a small company that did things the old-fashioned way. They met in person, and I met them in person, and they're lovely people. And I had a chance to sit down and plead my case. We chatted, and it was a great time. But one of the things they told me over and over during the interview was just how exhausted they were from the interviews alone. With them being such a small company, in order to conduct the interviews to bring on a new hire, they'd halt all their work and spend weeks doing back-to-back-to-back interviews. And that just isn't the answer either. I guess what I'm getting to here is, if the system is failing both sides, why aren't we creating a new one? And how are employers going to help make that transition?
I like that point, Zach. For job seekers, for job seekers watching, that is a very important part. And we talk about Guhuza and how Guhuza can help you, but it really is just to get that face-to-face, that quick, for both employers and job seekers, that will make a difference, because you just need to speak to someone. That's at the end of the day. Once I've heard this from an employer the other day, once they sit down, speak to someone, kind of suss out their vibe, they already know if they're going to hire you or not. And that's all they need to do. They won't get that feeling from just looking at your resume. They need to be able to speak to you. They need to be able to interact with you. And then let's look at the practical steps and support for job seekers. So for all the job seekers watching right now, here are 4 practical steps that you could pursue. So internships, co-ops, apprenticeships, or even just projects that create relevant experience, not just busy work. You want to build proof through samples, case studies, and measurable results. Translate school, volunteer, and part-time experience into the workplace in the skills such as deadlines, customer service, software, problem solving, and teamwork. And then finally, seek mentors, feedback, and references instead of just relying on online applications. Keep your Guhuza profile complete and specific. The goal is not to apply everywhere. It is to show what you can do and get into a real conversation. So, Zach, which practical steps have you helped you most, and what support is still missing for young job seekers?
Well, that's a great question, Mark. Don't get me wrong, the stuff from my resume and portfolio have been, they've been great. They look awesome, and they demonstrate the kind of range and technical know-how that I'm trying to cultivate. But as you may have guessed, I'm a bit of a sucker for networking. Anytime you can get out there and meet people, I say go for it. You never know who you're going to meet and how it'll help you in the long run. Recently, I had a chance to attend a Guhuza networking event in Pub Crawl on July 15th. It was a fantastic time. I met all kinds of different people and was amazed at just how unpredictably beneficial it was. Need a background check? Bam. Here's a guy that runs a background check company, 15% off. Need a videographer for an upcoming music video shoot? I don't know anyone, but hey, my friend does. Let me text him. Boom, you've scored a videographer. I went to I went out to have a couple beers and instead received amazing career advice from a bunch of awesome people. I think my advice would be is that we as young people need to forget this idea that events like this are out of reach due to a lack of professional experience. Events like these are exactly what helps open those doors. And for anyone watching, there's another one of these events coming up August 6th, okay? August 6th.
And there isn't a barrier. We're not saying like, hey, don't, if you're not a professional in the field, don't come down. It's open to everyone. It's just young people just don't look at these things. They don't try to see these things. They go to job fairs and be like, oh, I'm not getting anything back. But in reality, these events exist, and you could go to them like yourself. You can go to them and meet people who are in the industry. Because a lot of people who are senior in the industry do go to these events all the time. So it's a very good thing. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Zach. Networking is especially important. But before we finish, Zach, one short final question. What do you have to say to another young person who is applying for jobs, facing rejection, and beginning to lose hope?
We've got 3 short little things here. First off, it doesn't matter how many ATS keywords you cram into your resume. If when an employer looks at it, they don't see a person on the other side. It's all about genuine authenticity. Make it professional, but don't make it soulless. And practice proof over promises. Don't just tell them you're a hard worker. Tell them why you're a hard worker. Go that extra mile and show them. And lastly, this may seem like low-hanging fruit here, but maybe try Guhuza. You never know. It's going to make all the difference.
Zach, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today.
Problem.
Youth unemployment is not a failure of motivation. Young people should bring skills and proof, proof over promises, as you said, wherever they can. But employers must open doors, train talent, and stop demanding experience that they are unwilling to help create. And if you're looking for work, remember that a difficult job market does not determine your value or your potential, and you do not have to navigate it alone. And the conversation will continue every Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern with Guhuza's free free job seeker walkthrough and Q&A that is available on LinkedIn Live and on Zoom. So we'll share practical guidance, show you how Guhuza works, and answer questions live. So yes, again, watch on LinkedIn or join us on Zoom. The links will be in the episode description and comments. And bring your questions and join us at Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So please share this episode with someone who needs it and join us again next Sunday for another Sunday Night Live. I want to say good night and thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Zach.
No problem.
Have a great one.
Having me on.
Bye.
Yep, you too. Bye bye.